Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Arsenal Fan TV for Time Added On with me, Craig, the host from the Gooner Talk, on behalf of Arsenal Fan TV. Today I'm joined by Memz. How are you, mate?
I'm happy, mate. We've got 3 points, so I'm always happy when we win. So,
always happy when we win. Always happy when we win.
It was hard work. Yeah, it was hard work, though, mate, wasn't it?
Mate, stop it. I was
until
the goal went in, I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh no. Oh, no.
Yeah, but do you know what, though, Craig? If we're going to become champions, it's games like this that are going to make all the difference. And if we are champions at the end of the season, it'll probably be this game that we'll look back at memories and think, do you know what, that was a big 3 points. So
yes, absolutely, mate. But look, I've said it to other people before, and I've said it. We are playing like champions. We're not playing well. And we're winning games. So, as much as people can say that I'm being negative again, anyone who watched that game today can't tell me that was a good performance, because it simply wasn't.
No,
but we got the 3 points, and that's all that matters.
That's what it's all about, Craig. I mean, to be honest with you, we struggled at times to create anything. I was thinking at about 70th minute, so how much has the Newcastle goalkeeper actually had to do? How many clear-cut opportunities have we had? How many saves has he had to deal with? And on the other end, Peter Cech was our best player today, wasn't he? He was putting off save after save. To be fair to Newcastle, I thought they played really well. They came to us with a game plan. They contained us. They was hitting us on a counter-attack. Cech was making a number of saves. I think we struggled. Our offensive players struggled, didn't we? We didn't create much. Ramsey, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Theo didn't really create nothing. And Ozil, I think, was particularly quiet today as well. And it's at games like this where you need that bit of luck. You need a goal from a different source. And Koscielny, popped up and 1-0. It's all about. It was like watching George Graham back in the day, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, it was. It was boring Arsenal. And then,
it was, mate. Yeah, it was.
Goal out of nowhere. So if you just joined us, you're very welcome. Again, to Arsenal Fan TV Time Added On, Newcastle United edition. If you want to get in contact with us, all you have got to do is write out your tweet, but please use the hashtag Time Added On. I have my phone in front of me here, and that's obviously where I'm reading the tweets from. So make sure you use the hashtag Time Added On. So, like we've just touched on, we've just beaten Newcastle. Again, it wasn't a great performance, but I'm going to leave it at that. It wasn't a great performance, but we've got the 3 points. I haven't seen any other results just yet. The last time I looked, I know Leicester were drawing. So hopefully that result is still the same.
Do you want me to go through the results for you, Craig?
Yeah, if you would, mate. Yeah, I mean, let's.
Oh, mate, it's obviously from this morning: West Ham 2, Liverpool 0. Obviously, the Arsenal won 1-0. Leicester and Bournemouth finished 0-0. United against Swansea was finished 2-1. Rooney got a late goal there. Swansea against Southampton. Norwich versus Southampton. Norwich have got a 1-0 win. Sunderland 3, Aston Villa 1. West Brom 2, Stoke City 1. So it's results have gone our way.
Yeah, they have. And if my calculations are correct, we are now 2 points clear at the top. So that's nice.
You sound like Dr. Emmett Brown there for a minute, mate. My calculations.
My second name is Scott, actually.
Great Scott. 2 points clear. We've got 42 points, and Leicester are second with 40 points, and then City have got 30 points with a game in hand. So yeah, it's tight at the top, but we're in good stead.
Tied at the top and we're up there. That's all that matters. Let's get to some tweets. This one comes in from George Frutos. A horrible way to play, but at least we won. Yes, mate. Totally agree with you. The performance wasn't great, but we've got the 3 points. We've won horrible, Mems, and like I just touched on before,
yeah,
playing horrible wins you the league.
It does, Craig. And George,
you win.
Yeah, George makes a good point. I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes, it just shows what a good goalkeeper can do for you. Because in previous years we've seen games like that, and we've seen a mistake from the goalkeeper, and we've lost games like that in the past. So with Peter Cech, he was outstanding today. We've won ugly, we've won unconvincingly, we've won playing dirty, unattractive football. We've scored from a corner. We didn't create much, but it's 3 points, and it's the 3 points that matters. At this point of the season, all that matters is the 3 points. I do not care if we win 4-0 or if we win 1-0. Just as long as we get those 3 points in the bag, that's all that matters. And it's credit to the players. They dug deep. We didn't play particularly well, but it just shows a different style of Arsenal, doesn't it? It just shows that we can win ugly if necessary. But what difference Peter makes to the team? I thought he was outstanding today, and I think John Terry said that he'll win you, so many points at the end of the season, and it showed, didn't it? What a world-class goalkeeper.
Oh, absolutely, mate. That save he pulled off there, that Newcastle chance. I forget who took it now. When he got sent through, I was wincing like this. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh
yeah. Do you know what that reminded me of, Craig? Do you remember a couple of years ago we played Swansea at home and Michu, like we dominated, and Michu broke off and he was 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. And and it's today you just see Czech. He stood up big, strong, and he made the save. And it's games like this that's going to cause vital at the end of the season. We didn't play well. But the 3 points is all that matters, and that's it. I mean, it's just a bit worrying for me at the moment, Craig, because like we've won a couple of games now where we've struggled to create chances. Against Bournemouth as well, we were struggling as well, to create chances. We're scoring goals from different areas now. We've seen Gabriel score a header. We've seen Koscielny now score from corners. I think Giroud is now. I think he's struggling a little bit now. Which Özil looks like. There was a report before the game that Özil wasn't training. He's carrying a knock. I think we need to maybe just be a little bit different now and not try and be so one-dimensional. We're quite predictable to play. And if teams know how we're going to play, it's easy to combat. So it's at times like this where we need goals from other sources. We need the Ox to chip in. We need Theo to chip in when we go. We need Ramsey to start scoring again. So the goals have got to start being spread around. We can't be relying on Özil assists and things like that. So, it's times like this now where everyone in the team has got to start playing their part.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a tweet in here from GHJTV. Hello, mate, and thank you for your tweet. Do we think that Oxlade-Chamberlain should be given an extra run in the team to prove his worth? My opinion on him today, after I thought he'd done all right against Bournemouth, his performance today was a bit. It wasn't great, Memz, was it? I know he's coming back. I know he's coming back from injury and everything.
Yeah.
But today, his crossing was awful. He kept giving the ball away. His touch was awful. Much like Theo Walcott as well. But we'll stick to the Ox at the moment. Is he going to need a run more games to get back into this team?
Everyone knows that follows me on Twitter, and everyone knows when I speak. I'm a big fan of Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I think it's unfair sometimes that he's singled out for criticism because yes, he didn't play well today, but I think there was probably other players on the pitch that didn't play as well. But it's very easy to criticise the Ox, isn't it? He's one of these players that just gets criticism from everywhere, and it doesn't even matter if he plays well. People will always find faults. Today, he didn't play well. Like you said, Craig, his crossing was all off, his touch was all off. He didn't really have that end product for us. But like you, I thought he played quite well against Bournemouth. I think to judge players, you can't judge them on the back of 1 or 2 games. I'm one of these that believe that if you're going to judge a player, they need to be playing 10 to 15 games consistently, and then you can see what they've delivered over that course of time. Ox is a young lad, like you said. He's coming back from injury. I think he just needs a bit of confidence to play regularly, and then see what he can do. I think the worst thing that we can do with the Ox is to on the back of a bad game, is to drop him. Because he's a confidence player, and he needs to know that even if he does have a bad game, he's going to be in the team again the following week. So he needs to be playing regularly, but the fans need to not get on his back. And I think that you'll see the better of the Ox as well. Yes, today he wasn't good, but I've got a lot of faith in the Ox.
Yeah, I'm the same. The preview show that we've done earlier on the Gooner Talk, I was talking to Claude, and we both agreed that, like you say, Oxlade-Chamberlain is a confidence player. And he needs to be in the team. He's just come back from injury, and like you say, I think it's a bit harsh on him to be judging him. I mean, what's he had? Bournemouth and today, really.
2 starts.
Yeah, 2 starts. I mean, but let's be truthful. He didn't play very well today.
He didn't play, and I think sooner or rather than later, Wenger needs to make a decision on him. Where does he see him in the team? Because Campbell's come in and he's done quite well. Ox hasn't really grasped that chance. It's very early to say, but I think Ox now needs to start putting in the performances, and it's so hard when you've got that much pressure on your shoulders to deliver. Know you've got to deliver, or you're at risk of losing your place in the side. But I think Ox has got everything to his game. He just needs to do it consistently. And let's see at the end of the season, where we stand. But I'd give the guy a chance.
Absolutely. The next tweet comes in from, I hope I'm going to pronounce this right, Smit Mihita. I hope that's right. Horrible performance, but none of that matters as we got the 3 points. These are the games that we'll remember when we're lifting the league title. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, massive, absolutely. Great point, mate. You look back on these games, Bournemouth as well. You could look back at the Bournemouth game, look back at today. You can search through the results. So we didn't play well in that game, but we won. We didn't play well in this game, but we won.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, I mean, how many times have we seen Manchester United do it?
Yeah. I mean, it's when we won the title, Craig. I mean, for the people that are, my age and your age, when we won the title in '89 at Anfield, everyone will remember that 2-0 away. But a couple of weeks before that, there was a number of results that sort of like a couple of big wins that we won 1-0 away to Borough. Martin Hayes came up and scored a goal late on. There was a couple of draws at Wimbledon, and there was a couple of games where we got vital, crucial points, and it's almost like today. And like you said, Man United have been famous over getting late wins when it looks like it weren't going away. So we won ugly, like we said earlier on, but it's points that matter, and it's not the performance really so much. Everyone, of course, wants to see us win comfortably and put in 5-star rating players and scoring wonderful goals, but it's the points that matters. And providing we get those 3 points in the bag and the league table showing us at the top, that's all that matters at the moment.
Absolutely. Next tweet comes in from the Arsenal Pass. Thanks for your tweet, mate. Not a great game today, but 3 points is all we needed. And no Ozil assist. Disappointed face. Yeah, disappointed. But again, mentioning Ozil, very quiet today, wasn't he, mate? Very quiet.
He was, mate. He was, but you see, Wenger said before the game that he's not been training. He's carrying a bit of an injury, so I think it's got to get to the point now where we don't want another Alexis Sanchez situation happening. Where if he's carrying a knock, we need to give him a rest. The problem is if we do rest him, who's he going to play?
Exactly.
I thought Ozil was pretty quiet today, but he's contributed so much throughout this course of this season. I think he's entitled to have 1 or 2 games off, isn't he? So yeah,
it's so important. And I was reading a report there what Wenger was talking about Ozil being so important to us that he just can't afford to leave him out because he's playing so well. So I mean,
the problem is, Craig, if you take him out, who do you play in that position? That's the thing, Ramsey could play there, Cazorla could play there, but unfortunately, Cazorla's out injured, Ramsey's playing slightly deep. So if you do drop Ozil, who else can play in that position? There isn't anyone really, is there? So
there's not much choice, is there, mate? So,
what you could do, Craig, is mix things up a little bit. I don't know if Wenger will do it, but what you could do if Ozil was injured or needed a place, you could play Theo up top with Giroud and put the on wing, Joel Campbell in the other wing, just to give us something different. I mean, I watched a fantastic interview the other day with Tony Adams and Merson. I don't know if you saw it, and he was talking about how George Graham mixed the formation up throughout the course of the season. He went 3 at the back, sometimes he went 2 up front, and I think sometimes Wenger. I don't want to become too negative after a 1-0 win, but of course it'll be nice in some games if we did mix things up because we can be a bit predictable. We can, teams can know how we're going to. I don't see the problem in playing 2 up front. If Ozil was injured, let's mix things up. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Guys, this one comes in from Farron Khan. Guys, what do you think about Arsenal buying Pato? Is he available? He wouldn't be expensive and he would be wonderful cover. Yes, he's probably available. Yes, he wouldn't be expensive, but for me, Pato at Arsenal, no, I don't think so.
You don't like him?
No, it's not that I don't like him. I just don't think he's any better than Giroud or Walcott, to be honest.
Do you know what, mate? I'm a big fan of Pato. And when he was at in Spain a couple of years ago, or AC Milan a couple of years ago, rather, I thought he was a good young talent. He's got a lot to his game, and I know that Edu has gone over and watched him through on behalf of Arsenal, and he's gave Wenger a really good scouting report of him. And the thing I like about Pato is that he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play in the middle. He's the type of player that, for example, today, if you had Pato on the bench as an impact substitution that can come on and score you a goal or create something. Looking at our bench today, we didn't have that. We didn't have that option on the bench where you can put a striker who can grab something out of nothing. I mean, we had Joel Campbell on the bench, we had young Iwobi. If we had Pato on the bench, just that impact player to come off, I think that could potentially win us the league. And I think that's probably what we need. I think Wenger needs to be a little bit, he's got a gamble in his transfer window. And if Pato's available for the sake of 7 million, yes, he's had his injury problems in the past, but he's the type of player that on his day he can score you goals and he can create goals as well. And I think that's a bloody good tweet. Whoever suggested that, I think Pato is a good option for us if we can get him.
Okay, and so far, and I hope that answers your question. If Memz was manager, Pato would be in the team.
Be on the bench.
And Farron again asks, guys, what do you think about Arsenal buying Wanyama? Would he cost about 30 million, strong and Premier League proven? I'll come in on that one first. I would love Victor Wanyama at Arsenal. It would just be a case of moving house, coming in, and for me, if I bought him on the Thursday, I'd be playing him on a Saturday. Go straight in the team for me. It would be that easy. What do you reckon, mate?
He got red card today, didn't he? He got sent off. I like Wanyama. I liked him when he was at Celtic. I thought he was a big, powerful defensive midfield unit. I don't think Southampton will sell him in this point of the season. I think there was an agreement. Koeman come out and said in an interview recently that he's got an agreement with his chairman that no players would be sold in the January transfer window. Surprisingly, Mane has been arrested today as well, and there's talk on Twitter that he's been linked with Manchester United as well. So whether or not player power can have some sort of influence over this. I mean, you've seen Wanyama getting sent off today. If his head's not right and if he wants to move, players can push transfers through. So I do like Wanyama. I think he's a solid player. I think you're right. It will cost something like 30 million. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Will he come to Arsenal and know that he's got to compete with Coquelin and not be first choice defensive midfield? Because he won't be. Let's be face it. Coquelin. Yeah. So he would have to compete with Coquelin. For a player that's going to be leaving Southampton, coming to us for a big signing on fee, and then potentially be sitting on the bench, I don't know if that's the type of player that we would need. I quite like the look of this Egyptian that we're heavily linked with. I think potentially he can do a job. So let's see. I mean, to be honest with you, I think £30 million for a player that's going to sit on the bench is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but still, I'd still take him because what frustrates me the most is we've got the money, right?
Yeah.
We all know we've got the money, and some people on Twitter will try and tell you that we ain't got the money. But I think everyone knows that we've got the money. And for if you ask me, £30 million in today's market, it's nothing.
No, you're right.
So. But then I see where you're coming from. £30 million is probably a lot of money to pay for a player to sit on the bench. But
it is, mate, and that will be our third highest ever signing. And if we're going to be spending 30 million on a player for a player that's going to be sitting on the bench, it's. I mean, that defensive midfield player, it's such a vital role. But you don't have to be the most skillful and gifted of players. You just need to be disciplined. And I think Flamini's been playing quite well for the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. I thought he was pretty good today. He was quite disciplined.
He played well today, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he's been good for the last couple of games. So, if you're going to be spending £30 million, at least, let's just bring a player that's going to be, playing week in, week out and contribute something. I mean, I think it's a lot of money you would spend for a player that, like we said, that's going to be sitting on the bench. I like Wanyama, but I think, if we really wanted him, we should have bought him in the summer.
Yeah. Next week comes in from Marjan. Check saves were vital, even at the end where they could have gotten an equaliser. Rotation will be key. What would your 11 be for Liverpool?
Oh God, you put me on the spot there, mate. To be honest with you, for Liverpool, I would probably do like for the team that played today. The only thing that I was a bit disappointed with today's selection, if I'm being brutally honest, and a load of us tweeted it before the game, is Gabriel. I thought Gabriel's been outstanding whenever he's been given the opportunity to play, and he came in, performed, and then he was dropped today. So it must be a hell of a hammer blow for a player that, if you've been given that opportunity to play and then you've done well when you've delivered, to then get dropped. I mean, it's got to knock your confidence band in. So I'm a big fan of Gabriel. And I would have liked to have got a bit of a run in the team today. But having said that, Koscielny was back in the team today and he scored the goal. So who'd you drop? So it's the Liverpool game. I would go for the same starting 11 that played today.
So yeah, I would have to agree. If I was going to make a change, Gabriel would be the only scratch on the head. Do you know?
But in front of who? Who would you drop? Mertesacker?
Well, I'd drop Mertesacker. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I just don't trust him anymore, Memz. I just I mean, when he first came here, he was awful. Let's not beat around the bush. When he first signed, he was awful. He picked up that injury against Sunderland. I think that one where he kicked the floor, didn't he? Jarred his knee. Yeah. Then he came back from the injury and really improved and became quite a good Premier League defender. Over the last 6 months, I just don't trust him. But don't get me wrong, there's been performances there where he's played out of his skin.
Yes, but I think you've got. I think
more dodgy performances than there is the out of the skin performances, and he's so slow. He's so slow.
And I think with the Barcelona going up as well, I mean, they've got their strikers who are little whippets and quite mobile as well. I think if against Barcelona, I would play Gabriel and Koscielny as well. Mertesacker has been a great servant for us and is a club captain at the moment at the end of that as well. So it's even more tougher to drop him. But I agree with you. There's been more probably bad performances than good performances. And Gabriel, at the end of the day, whenever he's come in, he's never let us down. So I think sooner or later, Wenger's got to make a decision. You've bought him. You felt the need for him, so you've got to start trusting him. You can't say it's the language barrier or he hasn't settled in anymore. Whenever he's come in, he's delivered. So, I don't like the fact that you've brought a player into the team, he's played well, and then you've dropped him again, because at the end of the day, that's going to do confidence no good. So, give this to him. If players are playing well, you've got to stick with them.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Omar Asnin. I hope I've pronounced that right. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your names wrong.
Hey, Omar.
Omar Asnin, I think is the name. Happy we won the game at home, 2 points clear from Leicester. I think Joel Campbell should start, as he was great when he came on today. Yep, good point. I thought Joe Campbell put himself around quite well when he came on. But again, it goes back to the Oxlade-Chamberlain debate. Whether do we start Campbell or do we start Oxlade-Chamberlain against Liverpool?
So I mean, Campbell didn't do anything wrong to be dropped. So I think when Campbell broke to the team, and there were some doubters. There's a few people that questioned him, but he actually did quite well. He had a couple of assists and he scored a goal or two, and he didn't let us down. Joel Campbell, I thought he's been particularly well, but I think in some games he's looked quite tired, hasn't he? So I think Wenger's done the right thing in rotating Oxlade-Chamberlain and Campbell. And he just needs to decide probably for the next game who he feels is going to be the most dangerous against the opposition where we're playing. I think he's doing the right thing at the moment. I like Campbell. I know his contract's up in the summer, isn't it, as well? So he's going to be available for a Bosman. So whether or not Wenger's thinking, because I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, we had this situation with Flamini, where Flamini was playing really well, and we had Lassana Diarra. And he was playing Flamini, he wasn't playing Lassana Diarra, and then Flamini ended up going for a Bosman in the summer. I think that might be playing on Wenger's mind, whether or not he's going to be playing Joel Campbell, playing him, but in the summer he will leave. So I think that's probably why he wants to give the Ox a bit of an opportunity to sort of cement his place in the team as well. I like Campbell, but I think Wenger's doing the right thing in rotating between the two of them.
Next tweet comes in from Matthew Gooner 24. What do you think was missing and why are we so poor despite winning the game? Nice question. Obviously, what was missing was our offensive play. Wasn't great today. I thought the defenders done what they had to do. They done all right. We didn't concede a goal. So again, obviously a lot of thanks to that goes to Petr Cech. But the offensive play today was awful.
It was.
Oxlade-Chamberlain's touch, awful. Theo Walcott's touch was awful. I think the best thing Oliver Giroud did was headed that ball to Koscielny for the goal. So the offensive play, there was no pace. There was no one running in them channels that we're normally looking. We're watching Ozil put them balls in the channels that Walcott's running onto it, or Giroud's running in onto it, or Ramsey even. So today, what was wrong for me was the offensive play. But And and it goes to show a defender scores us a winning goal. So, yeah, for me, it was our offensive play. It wasn't quick enough today.
No, I agree. I agree. You bang on, and we didn't look our normal styles. But at the end of the day, we got the 3 points. I think the problem was today is that we looked a bit lethargic, looked a bit slow. Like you said, I thought our game plan was a bit predictable. Newcastle, for the first 15 minutes, I thought we actually played quite well today. I thought Bellerin had a lot of space down the right-hand side. He got down to the byline a couple of times and whipped in a couple of crosses. But after 15 minutes, it was all Newcastle. And we didn't really seem to have a game plan where we was creating chances. I mean, we said it earlier on. I remember the Newcastle goalkeeper making any really clear-cut saves. I haven't created anything. The problem is that, like you said as well, it wasn't really swift. It wasn't really happening. The passing was there. Ramsey wasn't really putting his stamp on the game. Ozil wasn't really in the game. It was tough. We weren't creating much. So obviously as fans and as people that have an opinion about the game, we can see what we feel is wrong. But it's down to the manager and sort of like at half time find the solutions. And he did change things up a bit, and we got a goal from a set play, which is always good. Reminds me of watching the Arsenal under George Graham, like I said, But it's tough, isn't it? Because teams are going to come to the Emirates, and we're going to play teams that are going to sit back and they are going to sort of try and hit us on the counter, and we are going to get frustrated sometimes. So it's just fine, just getting a bit lucky and hopefully getting those points, which is all that matters at this time of season, doesn't it?
Yeah. This tweet comes in from someone we all know. This comes in from DT.
Hello, DT.
Campbell starts against Liverpool instead of Ox. Ox is pathetic and offers nothing. I'd rather give Robbie a chance of Ox. He's been that poor. And lads, keep up. Joel Campbell signed a new contract in 2015.
So he's got a longer contract, does he?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, people are saying give Iwobi a chance. What's that based on? Iwobi had a decent Emirates Cup, didn't he, where he scored a goal and he was pretty good. And now people want to chuck him in against Liverpool. Come on. I respect DT, and he's a man after my own heart, and he speaks with passion. And but I don't agree. I think the Ox has got a lot to his game. He's lacking a bit of confidence, and I think it will be even worse for the Ox if he's dropped, and then someone like Iwobi gets the starting place in front of him. So just give the guy a break.
Yeah, I agree. But I can see where he's coming from. I can see where he's coming from. There's a bit of truth to what he said. Oxlade-Chamberlain was poor today.
He was, but he wasn't. Theo played poor as well, mate. No one's mentioning that.
That's true. Very true. I think I did at the start, but no one's tweeted. Just get that in there. Yeah. no one's tweeted about it. No, but Oxlade-Chamberlain was poor today. Yes, I agree, 100%. But on the flip side of it, he needs a chance. When Joel Campbell first came into the team, he was awful.
He was. I mean,
he a certain
person called him Naomi as well, didn't they?
Well, I remember,
So I remember Claude, getting on his back, and a number of people, including myself, had about Joel Campbell.
I think we all did, mate. We all did.
We've got a new joiner.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Wayne. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hey, mate. All right, Memz.
How you doing, Wayne? Nice to see you, mate.
How are you?
I'm happy now I won, mate. You didn't want to come in here if we lost, did you? So...
You happy, Wayne? You happy with the performance? Well, I'm not going to ask you if you were happy with the performance because it was awful. But the 3 points is all that matters, mate, isn't it?
3 points is beautiful. Yeah, you need to just keep racking them up when it's kind of like it's tough at the moment. We're kind of on the ragged edge of squad numbers. So the more 3 points we get, like I tweeted out yesterday, and it was actually, if you think about it, like if we have players coming back now over the next 3 months, one per month, which is really a top class player. You've got Alexis come back next in the next couple of weeks. You've got the El Neni kid coming in as well. You've got Wiltshire coming back February. Welbeck, Cockwell, and Cazorla. Like that's really, it's a nice little number of players to come in to try and get us over the line if we have a gap there,
Yeah, nice point. And I actually read that tweet earlier on. It's a very nice point, Memz, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got so much. I think if Wenger can sign, like you said, the El Nani and maybe that extra striker that we said, we've got a lot of options, and with players coming back from injury, the problem is that we're always going to pick up additional injuries. I thought Ramsey done his groin at one point, didn't he? So I was a bit nervous there. So we've got a lot of positives to look forward because we're not playing well, but we're getting out the points. So let's try and get beyond the team and let's try and be positive for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're just joining us, you're welcome to Arsenal Fan TV. I'm joined by Wayne and Memz, and we're talking about the Newcastle game that finished, I don't know, around half an hour, 40 minutes ago. We've won 1-0, we've got the 3 points, and we are 2 points clear at the top of the league. So if you're just joining us and you want to get involved, you want to send us a tweet, you want to tell us your opinion of the game, or you've got something you want to say, just write your tweet and use the hashtag #TimeAddedOn. It's very important that you use that hashtag because obviously if you don't use it, I won't see your point. So make sure you use the hashtag. Just like Clint Morgan has. Where do you think Theo should play? Left, right or striker? Wayne, we'll come to you first on that one, mate.
Right hand side, definitely. I wouldn't play him central anymore.
No,
he's had enough chances now, and he just can't seem to put away the easy chances like a natural finisher would do. You know, if you're gonna really want, Giroud actually tries with a bit of competition there, and if you want Giroud to be at his peak all the time, you're gonna really need to bring in another striker there. Theo just had his chances on the and he's actually, I think he's better from the right. For years he plays. This guy was scoring a lot of goals, 14 goals, 10 assists. He's racking up some great figures before he got his bad injury against Spurs a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
and that was all from the right-hand side. It wasn't from a central position. Like.
No, you're dead right, mate. And again, a very valid point. I certainly wouldn't be playing him up front anymore, like you said. He's had enough chances for me. Put him out on the right.
He's effective out on the right. Like
he is effective out on the right. Exactly. I mean, Walcott makes some nice runs when he's playing in the middle. Yes. But we haven't seen one of them ones where the ball's going in between the left back and the centre half, and Walcott's kind of coming out of nowhere, running onto it, have we? We haven't seen him do that for such a long time. Memz, what about yourself?
I'm totally in agreement with the comments just now. I mean, I've always been a huge Theo Walcott fan, but I think he's at his most effective when he's on the right. Again, as a striker, we saw against Bournemouth, he's not clinical enough. It's going to be times in games when it's quite tight, it's quite cagey. We're not going to get 3 or 4 clear-cut chances, and we need that striker that's going to be a bit lethal. And I don't think Theo's quite up to that yet. His movement, his pace is fantastic, but I think he gives so much more to the team on the right, especially when Alexis is going to start coming back in the next couple of weeks as well. If you've got Alexis on the left and Theo on the right, that's going to be dangerous for any opposition. So I like Theo on the right.
Yeah, same here. I think I'll go for Theo on the right as well. Clint, I hope that answers your question, mate. This one comes in from Hero Hadley. Poor performance, but we wouldn't have grinded this game out a few seasons ago. Again, 110% agree with that statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of years ago, this was a game we would have lost 1-2-0. Newcastle would have scored first, and we would have just given up. Like Memz, like you touched, a great example of that was Swansea at home. Was it 2-3 years ago? We had
Wigan at home. Remember that one? Wigan at home.
Yeah. You can go. We could go back through the calendars and point fingers at these games. Michu goes clear through 1-0. That's it. Game. We gave up. End up losing a game 2-0. But yes, you're dead right, mate. You're dead right.
But we've never had a goalkeeper like Peter Cech for a long time, and today he just showed what a great goalkeeper he was. He kept us in it at some point. So now we've got that wall at the back. It gives us a little bit more sort of like confidence, and then we can go on and win games like today. Yeah. So Cech's unbelievable. Thank you, Chelsea.
Unbelievable. I mean, we can all say thanks to Koscielny for scoring, but I mean, Petr Cech has won us that game today.
Yes.
No doubts about it. If we're signing a DM, is signing a DM more important than signing a striker? And that comes in from Jacob. At the moment, I'm going to put my neck on the line and say a striker is more important. For me anyway. Because we've seen it against Bournemouth. We've seen it. I mean, look. Let's take the Bournemouth game back in for an example. We should have won that game 6 or 7-0. Yeah. Ozil should have broken Thierry Henry's assist record that night. He gave so many beautiful balls into Giroud and Walcott. Wayne, what's more important, mate? Do you agree with me and say a striker, or do you think there's elsewhere that needs bolstering before we do that?
Yeah, I think a defensive midfielder is needed more than a striker. To be honest, I think we've survived this far this season with just Walcott and Giroud, and both of them are fit at the moment. So I think a defensive midfielder, like I can't see Flamini really holding us until the end of the season, or at least till Coquelin comes back, and I'm just not having him there. Like, I think somebody comes in with a little bit more legs, a little bit more ideas, and a bit more discipline, because Flamini does like to get forward and get himself caught out of position a few times, and I'm not his biggest fan. He's got away with it up till now, but I think if you get a disciplined player in there with a bit more mobility, I think it's more important, and it'll just ease the pressure on the defence. I think that's more important than a striker, because we can create goals from a lot of players up front. We don't necessarily have to score them from the actual striker all the time. We've goals coming from a lot of angles, but really, if Flamini is your last line of defence before the midfielder's running at your back four, it's only so many times that guy can get away with it. Like, he's been a good servant. He's done well for us since he came back, but he's just not quite at the level to drag a team like Arsenal to a title. Like.
Absolutely. I mean, he was lucky he didn't get sent off today as well. That ball he went in for when he went up studs first.
Nasty.
Yeah, all right. The gee's put his head in the way, but still, Memz.
I would say on a striker as a priority. To be honest with you, I think at this time of the season, if we had that unknown quantity that we can turn to, I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago, didn't we, when we signed Eduardo? The impacts that he had. Yeah. Arshavin, we signed him in January, and I thought he was pretty good for the first couple of 10, 15 games. If we had that unknown quantity sitting on the bench, and if we in games like this where it's tight, just shove them on, and then they can come up with that moment of magic. That we see Reyes when we first signed him, against Chelsea, that goal that he scored. We need someone that's going to be able to lift the confidence of the team and push us forward to the top. Sanchez has come back from injury, isn't he? But
we can only count on Sanchez for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, see, the thing about Alexis Sanchez is now, us boys here, we've been watching football a long time. Alexis Sanchez is brilliant. Alexis Sanchez is world class, but we can't keep relying on Alexis Sanchez to dig us out of holes. There's more players on the pitch that should be doing more to dig us out of holes, to dig out results. We can't keep going back to saying, "Oh, Alexis Sanchez, he'll rescue us." Give the ball to Alexis.
You're right, Craig.
There's more. There's 10 more players on that pitch. By the way, Wayne, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we've got to stop this thing of relying on players too much. It happens with Giroud. It happens with Giroud. People are saying, "Oh, they're relying on him to score, not forgetting what you just said, Wayne. Yes, we can score goals from other places. Let's not heap all the pressure on Giroud. Perhaps he might play better if the pressure's not heaped on him, or if perhaps if Claude would call him a lamppost again, he might start scoring goals."
I think Giroud needs that competition to fight for his place, and I think if we're going to use Theo on the right, I think someone needs to be up there competing with him as a starting striker. I think that's probably why we just desperately need to find that. I mean, I think Arsenal's probably been looking for 2 or 3 seasons, to be honest with you, but it's so tough, isn't it? We've looked at a number of strikers over the years, potentially who we can bring in. We do need that clinical, decent centre forward, but it's just finding the right person. I think that's desperately what we need. But who can we sign realistically at this time of the year? It's tough.
Well, it is tough, and I agree with Arsene Wenger and what he says, that the January transfer window is a tough time to sign players, because it is.
It is.
Players are still playing. Players are playing for other clubs. They're in Champions Leagues. Why would they want to? Especially the top players. Why would they want to come away from a top side?
The Euros as well next year, which is going to make it difficult for people to move.
Yeah. People are not going to want to.
They're happy getting the game.
Exactly.
And just a quick point on that though, Craig. Though, like if you have a player like we've survived a few weeks now without Alexis, we've done okay. Like, but if you have a player like Ozil playing at the level he is playing at, and he has really carried us most of the season. Actually, Ozil has. Like, you bring someone like Alexis back, he becomes more of a luxury and not you're not really relying on him, because you've got Ozil kind of leading the team a little bit there. Alexis becomes a bit more of a luxury player rather than actually relying on him for every single match like we did last season. Who knows what looks like.
That's all. That's exactly that's exactly what I was saying. We've relied on him too much last year. Alexis Sanchez. That's what I was trying. That was the point I was trying to put across. Not so much this season, but yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lovely luxury to have Alexis Sanchez back in the team, and I can't wait till he gets back into this team, because we are lacking today. We've seen it. We lacked pace so much today. There was no, like Memz has touched as well. There was no what's the word I'm looking for? There was no urgency. There was no urgency there today.
Do you know what as well, Craig? Something that Alexis can give us, which not a lot of players in the team can, is when the chips are down, and he can come up with that wonder goal from nowhere. He shoots from outside the box, he can score. From these amazing solo individual goals. Theo's got to start doing that. The Ox has got to start doing that. I can't wait like yourself to get Alexis back, but other players have got to start earning their wage. Really have. We can't keep on relying on Alexis Sanchez to dig us out of a hole. We've got a squad of so many players. We've got a lot of offensive players as well. Let some of the other players start taking a bit of the burden as well. But I honestly do feel we just need that central striker, someone that's going to put some pressure on Giroud, someone that we can turn to as well in games where it's not going well. And I thought Pato would be an option. The tweeter earlier on said that. There's other people that there's other strikers probably out there that no one even knows about. So let's hope that Arsene can sniff something out in the transfer window.
Well, I think if he does, I don't think he's going to buy a striker this window, because if Alexis comes back in the next 10 days or whatever he is going to come back, it's going to mean Ramsey's going to be shifted back slightly, maybe out to the right if this El Neni guy comes in. I'm just saying this is what's possibly going to happen. I'd like another striker to come in, even somebody who could do a job for a season or two or whatever, but somebody who'll be cheap enough. But I just think that Theo and Giroud is going to be his options for the rest of the season, with changing around Campbell, Ramsey on the right hand side. Yeah.
Another tweet from George. He says we've proved we can play without these players. We're top of the league. But again, it's very true. But like Claude touched on this afternoon on the Newcastle preview video on the Gooner Talk, are we top of the league because we're good, or are we top of the league because the rest is bad? And Claude's pretty much nailed it by saying we are where we are because we're the best of a bad bunch, and I have to agree with that. Look at Man City, look at Chelsea, look at Liverpool. They're not the teams that they were last year, so I think that's quite a valid point. Wayne, you don't agree?
No, I completely disagree. I just think that with the extra money gone into the Premier League this year from TV revenue deals, that the level of the smaller team has actually gone up. So instead of having 6 to 8 maybe really difficult games a season where you're up against your real rivals, you're really now having maybe 15 to 20 really difficult games, and there's no team in this league that can get through playing, going against Watford away and Bournemouth away and just going up and picking up 3 points, because there was times where you'd look at the 3 teams coming up from Division 1 and or the Championship, and you'd be looking at 9 points a season from them, but that's not happening now, and that's because the smaller clubs are able to buy better players and put them on better wages, and they're not forced to sell. So it's making it a little bit more competitive from the bottom up, which, like, if you're not prepared to like Manchester United are not prepared at the moment to put it to have a team ready out there to be able to beat those teams week in, week out. We at the moment we're better equipped to beat those teams because we're top of the league, and it's proven that. Like, Chelsea just can't beat them because they're getting found out for all the weaknesses. Man City have a poor defence without company, so they're getting found out. There's players out there that are really good from small teams. You've seen it with Vardy and Mahrez have been excellent all year, and it's not a fluke because you're now into January. These guys are still producing it. Like, so I just think that the level has been brought up from the smaller teams up rather than the level being brought down. I know people will argue that the Champions League and all. There's 2 real monopoly teams in the Champions League who are the best: Barcelona and Bayern Munich. After that, it's open season. So I don't take the argument then that we're poor in Europe and all that. Manchester United are in Europe, but they're a poor team anyway. Chelsea are still in Europe, but I just think that it's a really competitive Premier League this year.
No, well said, mate. Very, very well said indeed.
Yeah, very well said, mate. Can't agree more.
No.
He spoke really well. I mean,
yeah,
but isn't it funny, like what Wayne said as well? I mean, the smaller teams are doing so much well. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season, if we would have said Mahrez, Vardy, the striker at Watford,
Igalo,
yeah. Who would have thought that these players would be potentially the 3 best players performing in the league? It's incredible that these teams are able to sniff out these players from almost nowhere for quite cheap, and they're performing at this high level for so consistently long. And it just go on, mate.
Sorry to come in there, Memz. Right? Mahrez was bought for 400,000, right? From I think it's from a Spanish league.
Le
Havre. Right.
Mm.
Now, can you imagine him arriving at Arsenal for 400,000? Right. He goes out onto the pitch and he has a poor game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
His career's finished. His career at Arsenal is finished straight away.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but we've seen that with the Egyptian lad, mate. We've seen that where people have responded in such a negative way, where we're saying, who's this cheap stopgap signing? We don't need this sort of player. So it's exactly the same scenario where you can't judge a player based on his price tag.
No, of course.
Because we've looked at West Ham, for example, Lanzini. We've looked at Payet. I mean, there is players out there that costs between 5 to 10 million, and all it needs is a manager with a bit of balls to take a gamble on them and give them a bit of faith, and they will deliver. And I'm sure that this Egyptian lad as well will prove people wrong. I mean, look at Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany cost £6 million when Manchester City bought him. So it's nothing to do with the price tag. Look at Mangala. Mangala cost 30 million. So it doesn't matter the price tag. There is players out there that is unknown quantities that you just need to take a gamble with, and Mahrez is a fantastic example of that.
Yeah. I mean, Carlo was only brought for some stupid money as well. And I'll tell you something now. I'd have him up there instead of Giroud. Wouldn't you? Would you, Wayne?
He's a good player. He kind of plays on the shoulder. He's a big physical guy. But for what we do, I think Giroud suits us a little bit better. The kind of way. I don't think he's technically actually as good as Giroud, but I mean, finishing wise, he's up there.
Yeah, exactly. But that's again, the argument was 20 minutes ago that we can't finish. So perhaps Igalo would have been a nice gamble to take. Well, we'll never know now, will we? We've missed.
I don't think today finishing was a problem. We didn't create anything today, did we? It was just we didn't create anything. I can't remember. I mean, Ramsey had a couple of chances late on, didn't he? He opened himself up. He put it wide. The goalkeeper made a couple of saves, but I think we've got to look at other reasons why today we struggled. But you're right. I mean, we do need that extra striker. I think so.
The tweet comes in from the baddie. Thanks for your tweet. I hope you're not. The baddie. Some of these Twitter handles, honestly.
Yeah.
We don't need to sign a striker now. We should wait for Aubameyang in the summer, but the deal must be done early. I'd love Aubameyang at Arsenal. Oh God, I'd love it. I certainly think if Aubameyang come to Arsenal, Ozil would just have a field day. That man is quick. The man is so quick, so intelligent. Aubameyang is a massive shout. Memz, Aubameyang?
I'm a big fan, but he is everything that we hoped Danny Welbeck would be. He's that type of striker, where he's quick and he's got good movement, good finisher. Welbeck's never been that clinical finisher. Aubameyang this season, I think he's probably one of the top goal scorers in Europe. Something stupid amount of goals that he scored. He's a fantastic striker. He's going to cost a lot of money if we're going to buy him next summer. His stock would probably be up.
How much money?
I reckon between 45 and 50 million, if I'm being honest. With that money, if I was to ask you, who would you rather have between Aubameyang and Lukaku, who's proven in the Premier League? Who would you rather have?
Well,
don't get me wrong. Lukaku's proven in the Premier League, isn't he? He's not a risk. With any striker that comes from abroad, you're going to have to take into account different league. It might take time to settle. Let's be fair. The German league is a good standard of football, and he's banging in goals left, right, and centre. But we've seen it with strikers who have been banging in goals, for example, in the Dutch league with Kesman and other strikers, and they can't deliver in the Premier League. I would rather a striker that's consistently banging in goals in the Premier League than an unknown quantity. If I'm being honest, I'd rather go with Lukaku in the summer.
Lukaku. Yeah, I was gonna say Lukaku, but then I thought I'd get laughed at. But
I think
Wayne,
Wenger's a big.
what do you reckon?
I think Wenger's a big fan of that Aubameyang guy. There was a lot of smoke around that one possibly happening last summer, but it didn't happen in the end. But I think Wenger's going to go in for him again, and I would love to get him now. To be fair, I think he's perfect for Arsenal. Like, you know.
He's not just perfect for Arsenal. He's perfect for Ozil.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know, he's a perfect striker for Ozil. I've just sent a link to Claude, so hopefully he'll be joining us from the Claude Mobile, as he did this morning on the Gooner Talk, joining us while he was driving to the game. Let's have a look. Let's have a scroll through these. A striker that can make a quick run, create their own chances. Giroud has to be in the perfect position to score.
It's a fair point, yeah.
It is a fair point. So again, Aubameyang or Lukaku or anyone that will come to Arsenal. Even Claude, you'd be able to make a few runs through the middle, wouldn't you, mate?
I can do better than that tart we got up front today.
Oh God, here we go. He wasn't that bad, Cole. He didn't miss any chances, did he? I mean, let's be fair. He didn't have that. He didn't have any service today, Cole.
Oh, he kept going on the floor like a baby, and it was awful today. And I can't believe Campbell doesn't start. I cannot believe it. He played brilliantly, and then suddenly now he doesn't start a game. When he come on, he was brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate.
It was a plus.
Yeah. Oxlade-Chamberlain wasn't great today, Claude. He wasn't.
The thing with Ox, I still think he's recovering from injury, and he needs to come in now and again. But you know, not playing 90 minutes yet, I'm afraid. And while Campbell was playing really well, he should have been left alone.
Absolutely.
But I thought our midfield was very poor today. Midfield, Newcastle bossed it in midfield today. We were very poor today. We got the result. That's what matters at the end. But I don't know. And the panic stations at the back. I mean, even Mertesacker. I mean, 6'6", he keeps getting beat in the air. What's that all about?
Yeah, I think we can certainly thank Petr Cech for the points today, can't we?
Oh, you can thank him for the whole season. I think without him, if we had the other clown in goal, we'd be 5th or 6th in the league, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely agreed. Who was there anyone that stood out for you today, Claude?
I thought. Let me think. I thought Cos was steady at the back. I thought he was okay. I thought no, really. I thought the only one that stood out when he came on. I thought Joel played really when he came on. I thought, gave it. I thought Theo today. I love Theo. Don't get me wrong, but he was poor today. And I thought.
What about Ramsey, Claude? I thought Aaron Ramsey played today.
I thought he had an average game, Memz. Well, you thought he played well?
Yeah. No, I thought he was particularly poor, but it's just average, yeah. Ramsey's one of these players where you either love him or you hate him. And you get some fans that absolutely adore Ramsey, but there's some that question him. And I thought he was poor today.
Memz, he's a confidence player. He's one of these players. Once his confidence is good, he'll put a run of games together. But at the moment, I don't know. He was very poor today. I think what's happening with our team now, we're starting to miss these players a bit now because these like the Alexis, Santi, we're missing these players big time now. And the next 2 games are going to be the ones that will decide our season, I think.
Yeah,
the next
absolutely.
2 games.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wayne, we'll finish on you, mate. Ramsey, what did he play well for you today?
No, he wasn't. It wasn't great. A standout player for me today was Koscielny. I thought he was very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ramsey just spent a lot of time trying to get that goal. Like he could have laid it on to Campbell right at the end there with an open goal. Sometimes he just gets his head up for things like that. But he done well to get himself into position. But he blows hot and cold some matches and needs to just kind of put a little run together, but maybe with better players back in the team, and everybody starts to click together again, it'll just start to come right for him again. But it remains to be seen. I don't know.
Wayne, do you know what? I was one of these players that I was quite critical of Ramsey when he was playing on the right, and I said to him, let him play in the middle, and then he can show what he can do. I mean, now he's playing in the middle. I don't think he's really stamping his authority on the game. You know, he's not dictating the game as much. You know,
I prefer him on the right, actually.
I do.
You prefer him on the right?
I think he offers us more on the right, and we look so much more balanced when he's playing on the right.
Also, we're now down to the creativity. It's only down to Ozil, and if he can't create, we haven't got any creativity there. If you now do you get where I'm coming from? Boys?
Oh yes, mate, absolutely. We will watch the game today. I mean, poor bloke. He didn't have no one to hit or nothing. You know.
How important is having a great goalkeeper though as well? I mean, I'm not being funny. I mean, with all these clowns we've had over the years, mate, to have an absolute world-class goalkeeper, what a difference it makes. He turns draws into wins and losses into draws, mate. He's fantastic. What a keeper.
Absolutely, yeah.
What a keeper. We will end on that because Robbie is starting to upload the fan interviews from outside the Emirates Stadium. So we will make an exit so you can watch the interviews from Claude. Did you get an interview outside the ground, mate?
Yes.
Yeah, so
I also apologise to the people of Egypt as well today.
Oh, come on, Claude. There's no need for that.
No. I apologise for my remarks. I mean, but I don't know when. Sometimes you don't know what to say anymore. It's a shame we got into the PC world. I mean.
Oh, stop it! If anyone, I'll say it right here, right now. If anyone got offended by that, come on. There's nothing to get offended about. It's tongue in cheek. This
is what you get when you got Jeremy Corbyn coming in.
Right, we'll finish it off there. Thanks for everyone who's been watching live. Really appreciate your time. If you haven't followed us yet on Twitter, please do at the Gooner Talk. It says it down here. And if you could head over to my YouTube channel and check it out. The link is in the description. We do match previews, we do match reviews, and we also do question and answers and things like that. And on my show, you'll see people like Claude and Memz as we review and preview all the games. So all that's left for me to say is we're top of the league. Let's enjoy it. 2 points clear. Until I see you again.
We are top of the league, so we are top of the league.
Don't get too excited now. We're not allowed to get too excited. Until I see you again. Up the Arsenal.